Hello. Um, I chose a few of these. I know we're supposed to pick four, but I mean, I kind of have a hard time recording when I'm talking to myself, and I feel like I'm everywhere. So here we go. The first one I picked is age. I feel like my age has a lot to do also with my physical well-being. But I'm 31. I'm able-bodied. I'm strong. I can use my strength to help others, and I value fitness and nutrition. And so this makes it where if I suppose as Dr. Butler mentioned in the video that he had posted, I suppose that this does kind of cause for me to have less empathy when somebody has an issue such as lack of motivation, or an issue that could be caused, or that seems to be caused by poor nutrition or poor I don't know. I suppose I don't know if this is all directly related to age. I guess not, but it does. I suppose also, like in children, for children, age related, I have a little bit less. I mean, I understand that they have less control over their emotions and that they're still gaining it, but I feel like now that I've gained some kind of control over what my emotions do, it somehow makes it where I probably might have less empathy for those who are unable to control their own. Just because I know they can, and I feel like a lot of, I don't know. I know that children, again, need the increased myelination and everything so that they can have better inhibited reactions and can formulate their thoughts and everything better, but it's just me, I guess. Let's see what else I put. Sorry here. Oh, also for age, my children, I'm at an age where my children and their age, they're dependent on me. And so that affects, since they're young and I am their caretaker, that affects basically everything I do, my responsibilities, my schedule. Even though they say you should put yourself first, I feel like I do. I mean, and I have to put them first, you know? So that's another thing that my age affects. And that gives me a little less empathy for, I suppose, or maybe less understanding for parents who don't see that they have that kind of effect on their children, and parents who don't prioritize their dependent children to themselves. I might feel like that's a little less acceptable of an action, just basically probably because of my growing up. I know what effect it had on me, knowing that my parents weren't exactly like that. They didn't treat me as if I maybe was good enough to even have a meal made by them for me consistently. I feel like age plays a huge factor in that, because as you develop, you need that positive regard, and so I know it's not directly all age related, but that's kind of what I got for that. My ethnic and racial section, I am American, but I have two children who are Hispanic, and from a young age, around 10, up through the time I was about 21, I was partially submerged within the Hispanic culture. I learned Spanish, and I'm fluent in Spanish. I can cook all the Spanish dishes from Mexico, mostly. I can dance cumbia. Again, two of my children are white and Mexican, so but it seems like they're enculturated. I mean, I guess that's what they would say, but they were born here, so it's not exactly enculturation. If they, they're just Americanized. But I was submerged, again, like I said, from about the age 10 to 12, and with an example of culture and like their perceptions, and I could have a biased view, I suppose, because it seems like a lot of the friends and people that I met who were Hispanic, who I was around during those ages, it seemed like a lot of them came here, had a reason of coming here for some type of monetary gain. Like they wanted a better life, quote unquote, and they thought that that was first and foremost made with money. So it seems also like, and again, I don't know if that's just something that the people who I associated myself with who came here for those reasons, I don't know if that's a part of why they had the views that they did, and I don't know specifically if that means that their views relate to those who are actually living in their country now. So I don't know if that just kind of creates a bias or not, but it does seem that of those individuals, they just have like a different, I suppose, reason for living. And I don't want to touch too hard on that topic very much because I don't want to say the wrong thing. And I suppose that my being American creates that fear of saying the wrong thing also. That gives me, I guess, a little less empathy for those, or maybe more empathy for those who are diverse. I feel like I probably have that because I know that there's different viewpoints of the way that we go about life, and there's also different viewpoints that each of the cultures share about how others go about their life. And so I feel like I might have a little bit more of a broadened view because of that, and a more sensitive view of multiculturalism just because of strictly, I guess, mainly because of my children and my understanding for there being diversity. For religion and spiritual orientation, I feel like that affects my life and my view of the world, because using that I was able to, once I gained, I guess, more of a spiritual outlook compared to my past, I was able to use, I suppose, manifestation and faith of karmic influences and abolishment of negative thinking, and keeping the greater good in mind while I created goals to use in manifestation, and also sorry, it's hard to explain, kind of. I feel like those have made my life, those have affected the way I view my life in a way that allows for less of a negative impact of negative thinking. So, like, the second I start thinking about things that could be negative, and my mind has now been trained somehow in a way to be like, oh, that's gonna manifest or bring about bad energy. It's gonna attract bad things, so stop thinking that way and start thinking the good way, is basically how my mind works now. And so, I mean, I try to influence that as an example in my children and people I talk to. I suppose that gives me a little less empathy, a little less understanding. Well, I do have understanding for it, but it makes me feel less pity for those who choose to continuously think in a negative pattern and who are more difficultly influenced by positive direction or thought or influence, again, I would say. For gender, I think I want to say it's gender, but also national origin and maybe indigenous heritage, but also gender. I feel like those all together kind of make up what I would talk about as kind of like gender roles. I mean, because I'm a woman, I'm the one who's closer to my daughters, and I'm the one who is more responsible for showing them and being the example for them of how they should present themselves and how they should go about tackling their daily challenges. I feel like, yeah, there's gender roles. Everybody knows for culture, it seems like a pretty common one is for women to be the cook and the cleaner of the inside of the house, and not so often the construction worker. And I feel like I kind of fall into those categories. But I mean, I know how to fix things, but because I know that I am the mother, the woman, I also know that it's, again, my responsibility. And again, this is probably basically just influence of my national origin and gender roles, but I know that I'm the one that has to make sure that they're gonna survive in the world and make the right choices for themselves when they're adults, and to make sure that they know how to take care of themselves spiritually and emotionally. So I feel like that, I don't want to say empathy, but that gives me more of a highlighted reason to show them that to show them, and also maybe to influence to other people, that their children need to be given positive regard and instruction and direction. And I really like from another course, I want to say it was Dr. Butler's course with childhood development, but the scaffolding that they need in order to succeed in life, that's really important to me. I feel like that has a lot to do with those things that I mentioned. So I hope I did this right. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off, but it was nice getting to know all of you, and thank you for listening.